Hello, boys and girls. This is our first virtual field trip with Mr. Mobyjohn, your science teacher. Okay, so it is a late summer morning. We're in September 15th, and today I'm going to introduce you to my surroundings. I live in Kerhonkson, New York. I live at the foothills of the great Catskill Mountains of New York. So, my producer is going to turn around and show you the mountain that I live by. So you want to turn around? That is Mombacus Mountain, and that is the mountain that I live by. Okay? It's a little bit cooler here because we're at about 800 feet above sea level. Actually, 400 to 800. I don't know exactly. I have to look it up. But we're in somewhere around that sea level. So summers are not as long as the ones in at sea level. They are cut short. It does get a little bit cooler in the mountains at night, okay? It dipped about in the 50s or high 40s last night. So fall comes a little bit earlier than it does at sea level, okay? Today we're going to look at some flowering plants, the annuals. The reason why I'm showing you the annuals is because it's late summer and fall is going to arrive, and you know what happens in fall. And I'll explain that as we go along. So, today we're going to look at some of the annuals. And what is an annual? An annual is a plant that only lives for 1 year, spring, summer, and early fall, before the frost kills it. And it doesn't come back next year. You have to plant it again. That's why it's called an annual. Annual means every year. Okay. First plant is the Zinnia. This is the Zinnia. It's got bright orange flowers. Actually, they come in orange, and they also come in purple. There's a nice purple one, and they come in red. I don't have any red ones, but here's a nice one. This is another nice flower of the Zinnia. That's Z-I-N-N-I-A, Zinnia. Now, to identify the Zinnia, if you look at the simple leaves, the leaves are opposite. Opposite to one leaf is another leaf. And it's got stems with hair on them, okay? So that's how you identify the Zinnia. The leaves are arranged opposite, and it's got a hairy stem. And this is our first annual. The Zinnia was indigenous to India, and it was brought over to this country, and it's treated as an annual. In India, it probably is treated as a perennial because in India, the seasons are very long, and it's tropical, okay? But this will die out in the fall. Our first annual. Our next annual is this one. If you look at these flowers, they're curly, they're French. This is called the Marigold. M-A-R-I-G-O-L-D. Marigold. As you can see, they're covered with these orange flowers. They do come in a variety of colors. But I like these because these are bicolor. They have orange centers and red on the outside. The petals are red on the outside, and these petals are orange on the inside. So this is called, again, the Marigold. Okay? And they are indigenous to Africa. Our third plant is called Ageratum. A-G-E-R-A-T-U-M. These have purple flowers. They mostly have purple flowers. The leaves are arranged. Let's see how the leaves are arranged. They are opposite again. You notice opposite to one leaf is another leaf. So around the stem, the leaves are opposite. They are simple leaves, a simple leaf, not complicated, and it's got hairy stems. The plant generally grows about 1 to 2 feet tall, and they are annuals again. Their petals are purple. Very pretty plant. I've been growing these for years. And now move on to our next annual. Our next annual has red scarlet flowers, very bright red. This is called the Salvia, S-A-L-V-I-A. Because it's such a pretty plant, they've called it Salvia splendens, because it's such a splendid plant. If you look again, this plant also has simple leaves. See, notice how simple the leaf is? Not complicated at all. The leaves are arranged opposite. Opposite to one leaf is another leaf. It's got a panicle of flowers that are red and scarlet. The petals are red and scarlet. Okay? And they are arranged in panicles. As you can see, all the panicles of the flowers standing up brightly. The stems are fairly sturdy, and it grows about 2.5 to almost 3 feet tall. These are indigenous to South America. They are not native to North America, mostly found in South America. They are treated as perennials down south, but up north they are treated as annuals. Okay? So this again is Salvia. Our next plant from South America is the 4 o'clock. If you look closely at the petals of the 4 o'clock, they are mostly closed. One is slightly open, but most of them are closed. You're probably going to wonder why they call them 4 o'clocks. Because they open in the evening. Early evening hours, the flowers start to open. They also open up in the morning, but they don't open up during the day. During the bright day, they tend to stay closed. So obviously, the environment controls their flowering period. Again, these are 4 o'clocks. They're called 4 o'clock because they open up in the early evening. Okay? If we look at the leaves of the 4 o'clock, they are, again, simple leaves, and they are arranged opposite to one another. Opposite one leaf is another leaf. And if you look very closely at a 4 o'clock, you'll notice these black things. What do you think these black things are called? I'm taking one out, putting it in my hand. If you think these black things are seeds, you are correct. The 4 o'clock has seeds. Their flowers will bear seeds, and they are very hard. The coating is very hard and rigid, and if you plant them in the spring, you'll get a new plant called the 4 o'clock. So I'm going to put these seeds in my pocket, and I'm going to save them for next spring. These plants over here, again, they have pea-like flowers, and that is called the Snapdragon. So we have light pink. We have, look at this one, really close, bright yellow. And we have another one that is red with a yellow throat. And then we have orange ones with a yellow throat. And we have pink ones with a white throat and white ones with the yellow throat. What are these called? These are called snapdragons. Snapdragons. That is their common name. My producer will look up their scientific name, but the common name is snapdragon. Again, these are treated as annuals. If you look at the leaves are very narrow leaves, and they are arranged opposite again. Most of our annuals seem to have leaves that are arranged opposite to one another. So again, this is a snapdragon. If you look at these plants, these flowers have turned to seed pods. So look very closely. You'll see one of the seed pods. We'll take one seed pod and we're going to try to open it. And here you have the seeds forming. See those little gray structures? Those are seeds. So I've opened one pod up and I've revealed the seeds of a snapdragon. Very pretty plants, and I encourage you to plant them next spring. Okay? Here's our last flower of a snapdragon. This one has bright ruby red flowers. Okay? The snapdragon. This plant is the Dahlia. Dahlia. This dahlia has bright yellow flowers. They come in many different colors. And this is a dinner plate dahlia because the flowers can get as large as a dinner plate. If we look at the leaves of a dahlia, it's simple leaves and they are arranged opposite one another. Opposite one leaf is another leaf. So this is our dahlia, and it's growing very well here in the Catskills. So here we have one flower of a dahlia, and we have another flower of a dahlia. So this is another dahlia. It's got red petals. These structures here are called petals. And this again is a dahlia. Okay, so we've done 12 minutes of our virtual field trip. We're going to continue our virtual field trip on our next outing. Okay, it's been nice having you guys. And I'm going to end with this footnote. Please wear your masks and be safe. And we'll see you on our virtual field trip 2 coming up. Bye, boys and girls.